The loose sac, are you ready to start all this? Mm-hmm. Are we on camera?
We are.
Okay, the loose sac around the outside of the heart is the pericardium, so I'll cut a little beginning place here and just cut through that sac, and you can shuck the pericardium off like that, and you can see that it's shiny. The heart is shiny on the outside, so that's the epicardium or the visceral pericardium. You can see that there is a groove down the front of the heart, and that's called the interventricular groove or sulcus. A good way to tell the front of the heart is the pulmonary trunk that exits up at the very top and would exit from the right ventricle. So you'd know this is the left ventricle and this is the right ventricle. And remember that the apex is always the bottom of the left ventricle. If you turn the heart sideways, up on top of the left ventricle is the collapsed auricle of the left atrium. And if you go to the other side of the heart, there's the collapsed roof of the right atrium over on this side. The shiny surface is the epicardium or visceral pericardium. And I'll change hearts now, and we'll look at one that's been cut in two. And now we're looking at a frontal section of the heart, and we can see that the apex of the heart is the bottom of this large cavity, the left ventricle. In the left ventricle, you can see the shiny lining, that's the endocardium. You can see little pits or grooves in the walls, those are the trabeculae carnii. You can see little cords that attach to the bicuspid valve, and those are the chordae tendineae. You can see muscles that tie into the bottom of those cords, and those are the papillary muscles. The valve itself that allows blood to come down into the left ventricle is the bicuspid valve. So this is one of the cusp of the bicuspid valve. Right next to the bicuspid valve is where blood leaves the left ventricle. So if you take your probe and go straight up, it is going through the cut surface of the semilunar valve, and since it's on the left side, that's the aortic semilunar valve. This line or this wall of tissue in between the ventricles is the interventricular septum. It and the walls of the ventricles is a very thick layer of myocardium. Here'd be the right ventricle over on the opposite side of the interventricular septum, and from the right ventricle we could take our probe, go up into the right ventricle and push it out through the pulmonary trunk. So you know this vessel leaving the right ventricle is the pulmonary trunk. If we go to the other side, this would be the right atrium over on this side. And if I take my probe and go up into the right atrium, now we're in the right atrium. You can see the probe bumping up on the surface of the right atrium. Push through the vessel that leaves the right atrium, and there's the superior vena cava. Back your probe down, move to the left, and wiggle a little bit, and it comes out through the inferior vena cava. And if we turn it over and look at the left atrium, we'll see that there are several veins that feed into the left atrium, and those are the 4 pulmonary veins that feed into the left atrium. At the base of the pulmonary trunk, we can't see it, but at the base of the pulmonary trunk, there would be another semilunar valve, and that would be the pulmonary semilunar valve. On this heart, there's not a very good tricuspid valve. Let's see about this one. On this heart, the tricuspid valve is deep, but this flap right here would be one of the flaps of the tricuspid valve that would allow blood to go from the atria down to the ventricle. I think that's it.